What's going on, guys? Welcome back. I've got Clint Oldenburg with me, and I also have a handful of questions from you guys, the community that don't have the same privilege I do to interact with Rex or Clint for that matter. And I do appreciate your time today, Clint. I wanted to ask you some questions again that people have submitted to me and get your opinion on them. So some of the questions are more complex, some of them aren't. But I'll open up with this one. Is the warping of receivers and defensive backs fixed? Not only with players colliding, but I think we've all seen that kind of skating the defensive backs do in covers. Has that
Yeah,
been resolved this year or no?
it's definitely been much improved. I'm not going to go as far as to say it's been completely removed from the game. There may still be some cases where it happens just because we don't have any other coverage, but we did make a definite big time effort at making that much, much better.
You had mentioned to me before, so this is kind of an unfair question, that you basically do everything that involves anything that doesn't have the quarterback throwing the ball to a receiver. But one of
Right.
the most noticeable, I don't want to say flaws, but one of the most noticeable things that happens in Madden is the reaction of the defense once the ball is thrown. Has there been anything to vary that reaction to maybe better show discrepancies between veteran players and rookie players and make the gameplay seem a little bit more realistic?
That's something we're actually working on right now. We've been focused on pass coverage for quite a while now, and we're finishing up, and we're trying to get that variability in the game as we speak. Where we're at right now is coverage is really good across the board, and we're trying to find ways to make the non-elite players be a little less good. So I can't give you results on that quite yet, but initial pass is looking really promising.
Can you talk a little bit about how play action blocking has improved just over the past few years that you've been there? A lot of people do have concerns of the way the defense is artificially fooled by it, both on and offline. Has there been any discussions about maybe fixing that, or like you mentioned, bridging that gap a little bit, particularly with the ID the Mike this year? If you're going to call a defense out, that defense, if you select wrong, like a risk reward, if you select wrong, should have a penalty to the user online or offline, right?
In theory, yeah, that would be nice, but overall, like I've said, you and I have talked about this many times. The play action system is legacy. It was built before I was even on the Madden team. It's still using that legacy system, and it's not a bad system. It's just not what I would use. What we have done to improve it is try to attack the bugs that we find and the issues that come up to the best of our ability. Try to get as many as we can without having to do a complete overhaul until we get the opportunity to do a complete overhaul. In terms of the defense biting, the defender that is able to be faked out on a play action play is really only one or two players on a per play basis. In terms of the whole defense biting on play action, it shouldn't be over the top. We did a little bit of tuning there. It wasn't terrible in 17. It should be a little bit better in 18. But yeah, I think it's just status quo in the play action area, really, with some slight improvements.
Do you know when or if we're ever going to see the wind meter fixed?
Hopefully this year we do get it out where it's actually pointed in the right direction. I'm going to check on that before launch, though, and make sure that it's correct. Things, like I said before, like I alluded to in the previous interview section, features that go in, especially in alpha, always have the risk of breaking something else, and in some cases it's something not even related. And I believe that's what happened last year with the wind meter on launch. Is something went in late that broke it. Nobody caught it, and then we had to fix it in the title update. So you never know. Something like that could happen again, but I'm hoping and praying, and we'll verify that it won't.
You know, quite a long time with me playing football video games. You don't have a wow moment all that often, but I distinctly remember, I believe it was Madden 16, I had a wow moment with a simultaneous possession catch that I haven't seen since, but it brings up an important question because that's kind of in the same realm of an offsetting penalty where two players offensively and defensively kind of try to do the same thing and get the end result. But you haven't had offensive or offsetting penalties in Madden ever. Do you know if that's ever going to come into this game? Because it really does. I know it doesn't seem like something that would matter a lot, but it does matter, especially, let's say you jump offside and somebody decides to bomb a ball out, but then something offsets it, from the offensive standpoint. it's something that factors into real strategy in football, but we just lack that. I know it seems like a little thing, but a lot of people always ask me about offsetting penalties. Do you ever think it's going to be there?
Ever? Yeah, I mean, ever's a long time.
Ever's a
I
long
think.
time. Give me a
I
time
think
frame. Give me a 3-year plan.
I can't do that. I don't know. As I've said before, as the game keeps getting better every year, the things that we're able to reach for really start to open up. I can't give you a time frame on that, but it's definitely something we think that would be cool. Right now, our penalty system doesn't support it. I think when the right time to do that is when we can focus on penalties by making them all user facing and getting completely rid of the random penalties or the trait based penalties that we rely on now. I think the right solution in the long term is making every penalty be something that is a result of a user action rather than a trait, and also coupling that with the challenge system, which I think we all know is one of the more frustrating parts of the game. You don't know when it's going to be used. You don't know when it's going to work or not work. And like I said, it's just one of those things that hasn't become a high priority to work on yet, because there's so many other things that we're really excited about having the opportunity to work on. And as we start, checking off more and more boxes, those other things start to open up to us.
You mentioned frustrating penalties. To me, this year, there was no more frustrating penalty than the low hit on the quarterback. Realistic, I understand. But a lot of times it was completely inadvertent. I was trying to tackle the
Oh,
quarterback as he was backing up or running toward me at times. I know that you guys caught a lot of heat on this. What's
Moody, you're disappointing me, man. You're a sim player. You're supposed to enjoy sim features.
I do like it, but I know a lot. Again, if we're talking about criticisms from my watchers, a lot of people were upset at the low penalties. I personally didn't mind it. When I knew sometimes I was going to get it and got away with it, but I guess my problem was when I dove after the quarterback, he stepped up and then tripped over me, and I got hit with the penalty. And it's like, you kind of got to catch 22. Like, I either didn't tackle
Well,
him or I did.
there's two things there, right? First off, and most importantly, is it is an NFL rule that we have to support. You're not allowed to hit a quarterback below the thighs, really below the knees or thighs in the pocket. If he's not scrambling, that is an NFL rule, and that's just, it is what it is. Secondly, though, is there is exploit there. The year before, when we didn't have the penalty, you could dive from about 5 yards away, and if you just nicked the quarterback, he would go down for a sack. And so people online were literally relying on that as their defense. As soon as they had an open gap, they just hit the dive button and went to sack the QB, and we didn't think that that was right either. So the penalty at least makes you think twice about using a tactic like that to, spam your opponent.
Do you often find yourself putting things like that in, not just for offline, but more online gameplay? We went back a couple years ago, people watched the tournaments, and there was just a preposterous amount of the same plays, the same concepts being ran over and over and over with really success against any form of defense or any form of user change. How much does how people, I don't want to say break the game, but how much does how people manipulate the game impact how you guys make adjustments or make, like you said, penalties come into play to maybe not so much prevent it, but at least get it to where you are not going to want to do it because of a negative result?
A lot. I'd be lying if I said any differently. I mean, we watch the same stuff online that you guys watch. We watch the Madden Championship, the Madden Challenge. We watch the Twitch streams. We watch the YouTube videos. And I would be lying if I said that did not impact what we decide to go after. We care about the quality of our game. We care about the replay value of our game. Most importantly, we care about growing our user base. And so what the 1% do and then stream tends to flow downstream to everyone else, and then they want to start doing it. But what they find out is they don't do it to the level of those elite guys, and they get frustrated with the game, and they stop playing. And that's not what we want. We want more people playing Madden, not less. And so anything done in that vein is to grow our user base and get more people involved in the game of Madden.
Then wouldn't that be almost the equivalent of swimming upstream, where if I'm showing you or you're promoting, not you specifically, but EA promotes these contests, the contests, whether it's intentional or not, rely on the most successful plays, which, let's be fair, often rely on manipulating the game. and then the users that watch this can't have that same result. Doesn't that become a difficult thing to try to sell and cater to a simulation community or a casual community when you're relying on all of the promotion of the game through the company to come from not all the promotion, but you understand a lot of the mainstream promotion to come through just a few people?
I'm not really sure. That's a bit of a loaded and long question. I
I guess let
think
me ask
that
you this: do you see how a group of simulation gamers could be irritated by someone that makes, for lack of a better term, a mockery of the game?
yeah, I could see how somebody would be frustrated by that, but I can also see, which is one of the big reasons why we now offer competitive mode, simulation mode, and arcade mode, is if you don't like the way the game is being played online, then you can play simulation with your friends, or you can play simulation in franchise mode, and it's going to be a completely different experience. But what we want to do, and that's again going back to your first question with ID the mic, is we want to provide you guys with the tools to make sure that one play isn't becoming the meta. So the more that we see those things, the more prepared we get for them each and every year, year in and year out, and the more that they get dampened. So last year everyone wanted to run some permutation of Nickel Blitz 2. We provide ID the mic this year. That should give a counter tool to any blitz that anyone can think up, and we believe that the meta will now be finding a blitz pattern that is disguisable, so you can blitz either side of the field without the offense being able to know which side you're blitzing from. And that's getting now more into a simulation realm where the competitive guys and the simulation guys alike are going to have to do the same things.
When we think back to plays like the fullback run, the quarterback sneak, things that I don't want to use the term money play, but plays that continually netted the same result. As someone who was an NFL player, does it frustrate you that you have to, in a way, sit there and kind of try to reverse engineer things to not be as successful as they should never be? I mean, there's been ways of fixing it where the quarterback sneak, where it used to be the quarterback would stand up and move forward. Now he just kind of slouches over and does what a quarterback would traditionally do. Does that take time away from actually making, I'm sure it does, more simulation based or more realistic interpretations of football because you're trying to fix something that someone's just exploiting?
I don't know. Sometimes not. There is a lot of times where people are saying something is not simulation or an exploit, but they're not making the correct adjustments to stop it. Right. So a great example is fullback dive or QB sneak, like you said. I was getting videos of some guy on Twitter was showing me videos of his opponent using fullback dive repeatedly, but he never once went to put a defensive tackle in the A gap. He just kept running the same defense, which I think was some form of dollar or quarter or something like that. And he wanted to know why he could stop this fullback dive. And so my response is, well, when you're doing things on one side of the ball that are not simulation or not realistic, the result will also not be simulation or be realistic. And that goes back to us providing all the tools you need to make the adjustments necessary to stop any play that is becoming, common.
And that's a fair point by you. I mean, certainly play calling has to match where the situation is. I guess the response that I would have to that would be there's a lot of times you see in Madden where players don't tend to know where the first down marker is. Players don't tend to know where the goal line is. They tend to play zone in the middle of the end zone as if it's the 25-yard line on the other side of the field. So we can only tell the players to line up in the right places. They sometimes don't. Obviously, I'm talking about as if they're an inanimate object, but is there any way that there's going to be a system at some point where they can have a better understanding of this is the first down marker, I need to prevent the player from getting here, or this is the first down marker, I need to extend myself to make sure I get across this?
Sure. And what you're talking about is situational awareness and field awareness, and by no stretch are either of those things trivial. And AI in and of itself is always going to be more limited than our brains because that's what it is. It's AI built on someone else's brain power. And as sports gaming moves on and starts improving, you're going to start seeing a lot of breakthroughs in those areas, and things are going to get better and better and better. Timeline again, I don't know, but those things are definitely going to happen at some point.
If you had one word to sell me on Madden 18, what would that word be?
One word?
One word. Well, I'll give you three if you need three.
Okay, three's better. Madden for everyone.
Madden for everyone.
Yeah.
Has that been the mantra behind the scenes that we didn't know about?
Not really. Actually, where we got that was we were doing some play testing, some blind play testing in Miami, and that was one of the feedback points that came up. Some young man actually said that in a feedback session. He said, "This feels like it's the Madden for everyone." And we were behind the glass window. We all looked at each other and said, "Man, he's right." And so that's at least what I'm saying, because there really is something for everyone. You start off with long shot, and there's a lot of people who want to engage with Madden in a new way and want to play a story mode and want to learn football and also learn about Madden without having the pressure of playing an opponent. And long shot delivers all of those things. And then we have the game styles. So we give our returning users different ways to engage with the game to make the game play the way that they want. And then we have mud squads, and that lets the people who want to play with just their friends engage with Madden in that way. And those are just the top three. And then, after that, there's all kinds of other stuff. You go down the list: coaching adjustments, ID the mic, target passing. There's literally something for everyone in this Madden.
To wrap things up with you, if anybody does run prevent on the goal line and they can't stop a fullback run and they want to complain to you, or they want to make a video, because you guys are the most receptive group to criticism. You may not fix the problem, but I know that you at least listen to it. What would be the best way you would tell someone to critique Madden 18 and help get the game better that you would be able to respond and receive it?
Well, I don't know if you saw that post from Operation Sports last night, but I think that was really well written and is a great way for our community to start giving feedback more of.
I'm still banned from Operation Sports, Clint.
Well, I don't, beside the point.
That's okay.
I'm sure someone could show it to you or whatever. It's an article written about giving feedback to devs that was spawned by the hitting feedback in MLB The Show right now, but it applied to all games. In that if you're just saying something, this always happens, or this never happens, or this sucks, there's very little I can do to fix that, because very little in our game is global. There's a lot of situational stuff. There's a lot of ratings-based stuff. Whatever. The best way is to actually show me a video of it, and then I can see it and know exactly what you're frustrated about or exactly what you want to improve, rather than just telling me something or even getting emotional about it. That's kind of the most frustrating, is when you get emotional about it and start making things personal. You're lazy, you don't know what you're doing. None of that is helpful. It doesn't help me solve your problem, and it definitely doesn't make me want to listen to you. So the best way is to get a video and give me as many details as you can in a very objective manner, and that usually, gives the best results.